afternoon, a tsunami warning for parts of the West Coast has been canceled after a powerful 7.0 magnitude earthquake shook a large area of Northern California this morning. There was never a tsunami threat to Hawaii. Now, the quake struck just before 11 this morning local time in the Pacific Ocean, west of Ferndale, a small city in Humboldt County near the Oregon border. It was felt as far south as San Francisco, nearly 300 miles away, where residents felt a rolling motion for several seconds. A tsunami warning was issued shortly after, and numerous cities urged people to evacuate to higher ground as a precaution. But again, that tsunami warning has been canceled. There have been no immediate reports of major damage or injuries, but seismologists say aftershocks are possible.
They are forecasting that there's, maybe about a 40% chance of an aftershock larger than about a magnitude 5 or 5.5. So certainly it's something that we need to be aware of. Because this earthquake happened beneath the ocean and not directly under any population centers, it's certainly the most likely scenario is that any aftershocks will be smaller than the initial shock.
Officials say a quake this strong is relatively rare, with only about 15 around the world each year. It's a crime drama you'd expect to see on television. A CEO gunned down on a New York City sidewalk and his killer in the wind. Jared Hill has the latest on the manhunt, and we want to warn you, video of the incident is disturbing.
A sign advertising a $10,000 reward for information leading to the shooter of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson is taped to a light pole outside a hostel on New York City's Upper West Side. Police also released these images from the hostel showing the suspect's face. It's the clearest look so far of the man the NYPD has been hunting since Wednesday morning.
We will not rest until we identify and apprehend the shooter in this case.
Police are using a trail of digital breadcrumbs to track Thompson's brazen killer. Found at the crime scene, words written on the shell casings: deny, defend, and depose, similar to the 3 Ds of insurance, a phrase used by opponents of the industry.
Based on the evidence we have so far, it does appear that the victim was specifically targeted, but at this point we do not know why.
Cameras at a Starbucks captured enough of the suspect before the shooting to run facial recognition. Police say he paid in cash. CBS News law enforcement contributor Rodney Harrison says the suspect is experienced with a gun.
Just take a look at his stance and how he had the gun pointed out. He knew what he was doing. The gun jams. He's able to deal with the malfunction. So it looks like he's very proficient with how to use a firearm.
Harrison says the NYPD solves about 87% of the cases in this part of the city, so it may only be a matter of time for this one. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
On Capitol Hill, the U.S. House is expected to vote tonight on a Democrat-led push to release an ethics committee report on sexual misconduct allegations against former Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida. House Republican leaders believe they will successfully block the release of the report during the vote. Speaker Mike Johnson has said he doesn't think the report should be released because Gaetz is no longer a House member, so the ethics panel no longer has jurisdiction over him. Gaetz resigned the day President-elect Trump nominated him for Attorney General. He later withdrew his nomination and has denied any wrongdoing. Meanwhile, President-elect Trump's pick to lead the Pentagon is not giving up the fight to save his nomination, while the two entrepreneurs tasked with slashing the size of the government are meeting with Republican lawmakers today. Erica Brown has more from our nation's capital.
Billionaire businessmen Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy met with Republican lawmakers on Capitol Hill to talk about their plans to slash the government.
The overriding theme here is a return to common sense and a return to accountability and efficiency in government.
The two have vowed massive cuts to the government workforce, including eliminating entire agencies. Those kind of cuts have broad support among Republicans, but there is skepticism about how much they can pull off.
Fresh hell breaks loose from the people who get cut. And you've got to be willing to look them in the eye in front of God and country and say, look, I hear you, but it's not a priority and we've got to save money somewhere.
President-elect Trump's plans to cut the government come as he's deciding whether to cut loose Pete Hegseth, his pick to lead the Pentagon.
Hegseth is still meeting with senators amid allegations of alcohol abuse, sexual misconduct, and mismanaging money when he ran a nonprofit, allegations he denies.
Conversations have been robust, candid at times, with great questions on policy, personality, everything. So we're going to earn those votes. We're fighting all the way through the tape. We're grateful to have the president's support.
Hegseth has won over some support.
Now that I've heard his passion for this country and how he would turn the military around and focus on lethality, he sold me.
Trump has put together a short list of alternatives to Hegseth if needed. It includes Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who served as a Navy JAG officer, and Senator Joni Ernst, who spent more than 20 years in the National Guard. Erica Brown, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Here at home, the Department of Health has confirmed another travel-related case of dengue on Oahu. This brings the total number of cases in the state to 15 this year. 10 have been reported on Oahu, 4 on Maui, and 1 on Kauai. Health officials said the affected traveler was exposed to various countries where dengue is common. Symptoms of dengue range from mild to severe and typically include fever, nausea, vomiting, rash, and body aches. The University of Hawaii wants more community input for its Red Hill Registry project. Now, it looks to provide resources to people affected by the tainted water crisis while also tracking their health. The first round of focus groups just wrapped up. An online survey is open until December 16th. We have a link on our website if you want to take part. And now to new avian flu cases, this time on Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam. The Department of Agriculture says 2 ducks tested positive after they were adopted from Susie's sanctuary in Wahiawa. They have been euthanized. 7 other ducks on the family's property were also euthanized due to possible exposure. Now, this is the 3rd Oahu location where the virus has turned up after cases were confirmed in Wahiawa and Kahuku.
Well, happy Thursday, everybody. Let's take a look at our first alert radar and satellite. We have a weak front coming in from the northwest. You can take a look. You can see this front moving in. It's already really moving over Kauai today. We're going to start to see impacts here on the gathering place later tonight and early Friday morning. Zooming in a little bit closer. This is over the last hour. You can see most of the showers have moved over the Garden Isle. And remember, we only have 1 radar on Kauai, so we're really not seeing the full picture here. All of the radar is blocked to the north of the island, but we have seeing some showers over the southern parts of the island today. Moving a little bit closer to Oahu, this line of showers is going to continue propagating further eastward and southeastward. We could see some showers pop up over the next several hours and throughout the rest of this evening. I'll give you a look at our first alert futurecast coming up in my full forecast. We'll break down how long this rainfall is going to stick around.
Thank you, Drew. Well, the holiday rush is underway, and if you're planning on mailing gifts, there are some important deadlines you need to know about. Dylan Ancheta joins us live from the Kaimuki Post Office with more. Dylan.
Hey, aloha, Ashley. Thank you so much. We are at the Kaimuki Post Office, where the lunch rush, it's actually one of the busier times of the day, is actually underway right now. We've got a few people in line, but here joining me now live is Darlette. She is the USPS holiday spokesperson. Right off the bat, can you tell us some of the important deadlines that people need to be aware of?
So you need to get your priority packages in the mail by December 18th, and if you are a procrastinator, make sure you do express mail by December 20th.
And there are also some good tips that you folks were telling us about, whether it be how to correctly pack your packages or just the time of day that you come to the post office. Talk about that.
So as you can see right now, the busiest time is lunchtime. So we usually suggest you come mid-morning and maybe towards the mid-late afternoon, right before closing. And I also would suggest, if you don't want to go to a busy, big station where there's a lot of people there, you can come to our small station here at Kaimuki and meet with Faye, and she can do a fabulous job mailing out your packages.
Yeah, and the reason I'm wearing one of the vests today is because Miss Faye, who's busy working right now, she took me behind the counter and gave me a training, and I got to be a USPS postal worker for the day. So we'll have more on this story coming up, and I gotta say, these customers did not make it easy for me. There were so many different transactions that we had to handle, all in the span of like 10 minutes, maybe 15. So I will be having a full story on this, a full recap of what it's like to be a USPS postal worker during the holiday season, coming up on later editions of Hawaii News Now. In Kaimuki, Dylan Ancheta, Hawaii News Now.
Can't wait to see it, Dylan. Thank you. Well, head on This Is Now, a look at some of the cases police need your help solving. We're checking in with Honolulu Crime Stoppers in 2 minutes. Plus, thousands of people spend the holidays in the hospital because of serious decorating-related injuries. How you can prevent these mishaps when we come back. Welcome back. It's time for our weekly crime roundup. Joining us now from Honolulu Crime Stoppers is Sergeant Chris Kim. What do you have for us today?
I got these 3 cases I want to highlight. The first case is a theft in the 3rd degree that happens on Wednesday, November 6, 2024 at about 3:23 p.m. This male and female entered the Target in Kapolei, selected various items, then fled without making payment. Suspect number 1 is being described as an unknown male, about 5 feet 6 inches to 5 feet 8 inches tall, with a large build, wearing black jeans. Blue shirt and shorts. Suspect number 2 is unknown female, 5 feet 3 inches, thin build, wearing a black t-shirt, denim shorts. They fled in a 4-door sedan, unknown make and model. And our second case is a burglary in the 2nd degree on Thursday, September 26, 2024, at about 10:56 p.m. 3 unknown males burglarized the Aloha Smoke Shack in Pearl City by shattering the front door and then making entry and then fleeing with various items. All 3 suspects are being described as unknown. I will give the information on where the viewers can see the descriptions at the end of the segment. And finally, our last case is a theft in the 2nd degree. On Friday, November 1st, 2024, about 7:44 a.m., these 2 males entered the Pearl City Home Depot, selected a generator, and then opened it up and filled it up with various items, then fled. This is being described as the theft in the 2nd degree, meaning that the total value of all items taken was over $750. They fled in a black Toyota Tacoma, bearing Hawaii license plates HNTAH. Once again, HNTAH. All 3 cases we talked about today can be seen over at the www.honolulupd.org website, bottom left-hand corner, under wanted persons, as well as all the other cases that we need help from the community in helping us solve.
Thank you, Chris. And not crime related, but you wanted to say some mahalos to people?
Well, yeah, I wanted to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Adult Friends for Youth and the Hawaii State Senate. I received an award this past Friday from the Adult Friends for Youth and the Hawaii State Senate for basically the contributions made towards combating violence among youths, combating bullying, and school-related issues. So thank you so much to the AFY and the State Senate for this prestigious award.
Congratulations.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate all you do for the community as well.
Thank you.
All right, let's send it over to Drew.
And stick around. Coming up after the break, I'll give you a look at our First Alert 7-day forecast. Still tracking some rainfall out there today and tomorrow.
Alert weather with Drew Davis.
Well, happy Thursday, everybody. Almost to Aloha Friday. The main thing we're talking about in this forecast is the cold front that's moving across the northwestern half of the state right now. Also some elevated surf out there. We're tracking a better chance for rainfall across Kauai and Oahu throughout the rest of today. Not so much for Maui County and Hawaii Island. So let's take a look at our first alert radar and satellite, show you what's going on outside. Really, we've got that chance for rainfall throughout Kauai and Oahu as we're going into this upcoming Friday. You can see it on our first alert radar and satellite right now. We've got some rainfall out there. Zooming in a little bit closer, this is over the last hour. The main band of moisture from the front, where it's lifting up all of that moisture and humidity, has already really passed Kauai, and it's starting to move closer to Oahu. You can see that right there. We're going to start to see some impacts from that later tonight and also throughout Friday morning. You can see that really clearly in our first alert futurecast. Here's just one of the models that we're showing you right now. This is really showing us how we're going to expect rainfall throughout the rest of Thursday evening. This is around 3 p.m. That's where the band of moisture is expected to start moving further eastward. But from what we're seeing on the first alert radar and satellite right now, we might see some rainfall get closer to Oahu throughout Friday or earlier Thursday evening. So some rainfall possible over the North Shore and the leeward parts of the island coming up potentially here in a couple of hours as well. By the time we get to Friday morning, here's the front over the northwestern parts of Oahu and the leeward parts of the island as well. And the front starts to really fall apart throughout Friday morning, starting to dissipate, but still seeing some rainfall across the island as well. It's going to push slightly back towards the northwest throughout Friday evening and start to fall apart. Notice not much rainfall expected for Maui County and Hawaii Island with this front. Your surf and shoreline forecast, of course, we were talking about elevated surf. We've been giving you the first alert throughout the entire week. North-facing shores around 9 to 12 feet out there this afternoon. West-facing shores around 6 to 8. South-facing shores dropping and around 2 to 4 feet. Still seeing the wind swell on east-facing shores. Taking a look at your first alert checklist. Really nice weather out there right now. 83 degrees, southwesterly winds. You're also seeing what you need: the shades, surfboard, and an umbrella, especially if you're over the western half of the state. Here's a look at your first alert 7-day forecast. Beautiful weather out there. Thursday and Friday lit up in red for that chance for rainfall. Going into the weekend, lighter winds expected across the state. Some breezy winds might fill in behind the front. Next week, it could get potentially gusty.
Sounds good, Drew. Thank you. Tens of thousands of runners are set to descend on the Hawaii Convention Center. The Honolulu Marathon Expo kicks off today from 10 to 6, and it's where all the athletes will pick up their race bibs. There will be plenty of shopping and exhibits celebrating distance running. The expo continues through Saturday with the race on Sunday morning. And thousands of Honolulu Marathon runners will be eager to cross that finish line, and waiting for them will be a sweet treat. Mark Carpenter has more on the marathon malasadas.
We finished. Completing the Honolulu Marathon is the culmination of months of grueling training, and crossing the finish line comes with a set of perks: t-shirt, medal, and the best of all, a perfectly golden, hot, and sweet malasada. A labor of love, spearheaded by Pearl City native Ernest Kam and his family.
My sister, her husband, her children, his children, my children. So everybody comes over and they all put a hand in there and they all make sure it gets completed.
And bringing these doughy delights to life is its own production, which requires hundreds of pounds of flour, 15 50-pound bags of sugar, and 50 35-pound barrels of oil. All prep work and cooking is done on site, which Kam oversees starting at 2 a.m. Before frying begins, conditions for the dough need to be just right.
He needs to make sure that tent is brought up to the proper temperatures. Once he gets it in there, he literally is monitoring it minute by minute, going in there, checking it, making sure we keep the temperature, because the outdoor temperature makes a big difference.
And they need a lot of hands, with 125 volunteers to help with frying, sugar coating, packing, and distribution.
The distribution table takes about maybe 50 to 90 people based on the amount. So since this year we're doing 32,000, we have an estimated 90 volunteers coming in just to distribute those 32,000 malasadas.
For each runner, a delicious rite of passage, and the team makes sure everyone is taken care of.
We don't want anybody to not have a malasada. The happiness that they get, maybe, is that the right word? But just that alone and their thankfulness, as they're coming through the lines, that is the most gratifying. It's just being able to hand them that, and it's great.
Mark Carpenter, Hawaii News Now.
And make sure to tune into Hawaii News Now on race day this Sunday for our special edition of Sunrise at 6 a.m. on K5. Keeping your holiday healthy and happy this season, whether cooking, decorating, or toy buying, safety experts are reminding families to take precautions to keep safe from holiday-related hazards. Michael Yoshida has more.
There are reportedly about 160 Christmas decorating-related injuries each day in the U.S. during the holiday season, with about half of those involving falls. Decorating mishaps can ruin your Christmas vacation.
Honey?
In the 2023 holiday season, about 14,900 people were treated in emergency rooms due to holiday decorating-related injuries. That, according to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission.
I've seen people that fall off the ladder, they fall off the roof. Even when they're just trying to be careful climbing down, they just slip because they're wearing the wrong shoes and end up having to spend the holidays in the hospital with serious injuries.
So whether reaching for the top of the tree or stringing lights, Dr. Carol Parsons, an emergency medicine physician for Cleveland Clinic, offers this advice when decking the halls. Make sure both legs of the ladder are firmly planted. And
when you're up on the ladder, a lot of people end up reaching over for the next strand of lights when really they should be getting off the ladder, moving it over, and repositioning it.
Parson also says if using an artificial tree, look for a fire-resistant label. And if you go for the real thing, make sure you water it to keep it from drying out and potentially becoming a fire hazard. And when decorating the tree, be careful with the ornaments.
Most nowadays are plastic, but there's a fair amount that are ceramic or glass. People drop them, they step on them, they slice their fingers on them, and they end up coming to see us in the ER every year.
And safety experts also urge people that when they're decorating, check those lights for any frayed wiring, and also, of course, don't overload those electrical outlets. In Washington, I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
For only the second time in 1,500 years, an official sumo competition is being hosted outside of Japan. We'll tell you where in 2 minutes. news, a sumo showdown is set for the new year over in London.
It's where a famous concert hall will throw open its doors to Japan's national sport. CBS's Tina Krause has the story.
The majestic Royal Albert Hall in London, long celebrated for its symphonies and stunning concerts, is embracing a twist on tradition. Welcoming the world's top sumo wrestlers to grace its stage for a 5-day tournament next fall.
We'll experience not just the sport, but the tradition and the ritual and the culture of sumo that goes back well over 1,000 years.
It'll be only the second time in 1,500 years that an official sumo competition is hosted outside Japan.
The combined 60 stone of two wrestlers.
The first was also at the Royal Albert Hall back in 1991.
It captured the imagination of the entire country as people talked about it and kids reenacted it in the playground.
The 1991 champion is now chairman of the Japan Sumo Association and earned the nickname Bulldog by the Brits. He says, at first I thought it's because of the way I look, but then I was told it was for my bravery, so I was very honored. Next year's sumo spectacle will unfold on a clay stage created in the center of the Grand Auditorium, with the crowd sitting on cushions, fully immersed in the action.
It's actually going to be a great cultural moment and a time for us to come across something we don't normally experience and to maybe learn something different from a different culture.
A monumental matchup of cultures colliding on center stage. Tina Krause, CBS News, London.
What a venue.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun.
Beautiful. All right, thanks for watching. This is Now. More news coming up for Set 4 right here on KHNL. Aloha.